Keep it locked. We'll be right back for Truth. Keep it locked. We'll be right back for Truth. Keep it locked. We'll be right back for Truth. Well, good night, everyone, and I want to say it feels good to be back. It's Wednesday night. It's hump night in the city, and it feels good to be here. As you all know, it's my favorite time of the week. It's when we get to express our feelings, and we get to meet all these new people, and we get to do some interesting things around the uh, the community, and and just be involved. Um, what do we got here? Hmm. Yes, it was. So, well, we're back at it again, and it's a brand new week with a brand new guest. And one of the things I like about doing this show is that I get to meet new people here on the show that I have never met before. I also love the anxiety and the unknown of meeting a new person, and it makes me feel like a brand new relationship. As you know, the show is here to promote and bring to you interesting and talented people from all around the world. So if you know someone who fits this description, just point them to us and we will connect with them and give them a thumbs up. If you are new to the show, I hope you enjoy us and our guests as well. If you want to be part of the show, just drop us a comment and join the conversation as we will respond to you and your comments as you pop them up. And by the way, our email address is DmanFromProspect@gmail.com. And you can always reach out to us at Facebook.com/DmanForTrute. And you can catch all the reruns on YouTube. Simply go to Dman from Prospect and they will be available to you. Now, we like to do a thing called Demand Thoughts, and we're going to jump right into it. And this week, my thoughts, it was, you know what, for the last couple of days, it got a little bit cooler. It was on the cooler side. It wasn't so hot, so I wasn't so hot and bothered. Uh, so I just, was just kind of thinking a little bit. And earlier this month, the remains of, let me fix myself here. I don't like the way I'm positioned here. So the remains of 215 children, some as young as 3 years old, have been found buried on the site of what was once Canada's largest indigenous residential school. And this is one of the institutions that held children taken from families across the nation. It seems to me that there have always been a constant fight between province, federal, and the community about issues like this, and even more gruesome accusations. Who's stinging me? Now, I'm not the most educated person about topics like these, and I'm not going to jump into something as hot as this neither. But I would like people, especially younger people, to do some research and look at history and see where you are now compared to your parents and grandparents and great grandparents. Sometimes we forget, or we simply pretend to forget for convenience, and that's when it gets dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So, following the discovery of these bodies on the site of what was once Canada's largest indigenous residential school, we again began to see the toppling of statues, again, which is another quick reminder of the importance of knowing your history. Now, many people are going to be upset because the notion is always that the statues were there for many generations, and some people see no reason to have them toppled. Well, while some people have no power to bring down a statue by themselves, we continue to push for economic structure that benefits communities within communities, and also to see reform laws that will not punish some and benefit others. Now, I'll admit, if you jump on any of these deeply rooted causes, you are almost bonded to continue in this path in order to see results. And in Barbados, November 2020, Barbados removed the statue of the Lord Admiral Horatio Nelson, which was rooted in the heart of Heroes Square in Bridgetown, Barbados. Of course, while some people were upset of this, the majority of people had already been tired of looking at Nelson and had always asked, why was he rooted there? Barbados is also on path to removing the Queen Elizabeth as head of state, stripping any remaining power that she may have over the island. So even though the Prime Minister of Barbados has been controversial from the get-go, starting with her personal and private affairs, she has also been steadily making moves that will reflect positive changes for the future. I am sure controversy will follow every politician trying to make change, and changes are sometimes very difficult to make once the policy is rooted deeply into the people and the system. Now, being the first woman prime minister of Barbados, I'm sure she had to have the inner strength to do what men before her felt like they could not do or would not even touch. And for that reason, I salute her. So even though a woman cannot do a man's job, as some may have it, a woman will get the job done, as controversial as it may appear. And with that note, it leads me to our next guest tonight, and I'll introduce her in a second. And before she pops in, and just uh, let you guys know a little bit about Sophia Jackson. And Sophia Jackson radiates creativity. She is passionate about highlighting the connection between mental well being and financial well being, and advocates for people to be financially responsible, independent, and protected. Her main goal is to positively impact the lives of others, having them feel better and be better after connecting with her. As she makes this exciting career path her spiritual and financial livelihood. She feels very deeply about people, and especially BIPOC women, Black, Indigenous, people of color. I believe that's what it means. Investing in ways to live their best lives, financially, spiritually, psychologically, and physically. Sophia believes in leading by example and showing practical ways that clients can benefit from multiple streams of income, diversification of income, and self development. Sophia has written and produced 2 albums utilizing her vocal and lyrical prowess. She has expanded her talent as a as a wordsmith, and is now also an author of an affirmation coloring book for adults, which helps her to set a tone of calm to introduce clients to her concept of financial literacy as a mental health concern. Having worked as a dynamic, highly skilled child and youth counselor for the past 7 years, has equipped her to distill heady financial terms to her clients as a licensed financial well being coach. So, welcome, Sophia Jackson. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Dman. Thanks for having me. This is looking forward to our chat.
Yes, me too. Yes, I've been looking forward to it for quite some time now, and it's been quite a while since we connected and booked a date, but it seemed like it took forever.
Mhm.
How you doing?
I'm great. You said that you were looking forward to it. Why were you looking forward to it?
Well, I'll get into it in a second. Let me just give myself a little bit of time to get into it. What's the
So-
rush? Jeez, you know, never been pressured so much by ladies. um, so, so before we get into anything, Sophia,
Mhm,
who is Sophia Jackson? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and where you
mhm.
represent?
Okay, I am. I mean, what you read really encapsulates me to a T. In addition to what you shared, I'm I have to repeat creative because I put creativity to everything that I do. And then I'm born in Ottawa, but Trimaican, so that's Trini Jamaican. My sister coined that phrase. I keep using it. I think she'd be happy to hear that. Trini Jamaican. Um, and I've been here in the GTA for several years,
Well,
since the 80s, without dating myself. And I just love to do things that are creative, and then find creative ways to do regular things. um I'm single, for
for
those
all the
people
men
out
out there.
there. Yeah, for the men out there.
Well,
single. And
Should I say men, or
yeah,
because like I don't want to be too controversial, but I mean they say men, but in these times, I don't know, you know.
really, yes, no, man,
Well, look,
yes.
I think that's a very open question in 2021, right? I mean, you don't have to
Uh-huh.
answer all those questions, but you know, it's a thing, right? I may offend someone if I say, for all the men out there, she's single, and then and lo and behold, she's like, oh,
Mm.
guys.
Yes, men. But yeah, I understand. Yes, because having a social work background, being in working as a youth counselor, and being in different spaces, in different rooms, safe spaces, brave spaces, being able to speak about your gender fluidity and all, like, yes, those are all absolutely things that, and it didn't exist. You think about it, it didn't exist. The narrative, the language didn't exist. When I was growing up, I was going to say when we were growing up, but I don't want to make
You
assumptions.
don't want to put me in the same bracket as you. I understand, but that's okay. I'll take my knocks when they come.
Mhm.
And speaking of that, and speaking of not dating ourselves and so forth, for a minute, I ain't gonna lie to you. Looking at the photo that you sent me, I was like, "There's a little kid. Uh, are you a little
Little
kid?"
kid at heart. Yeah, I'm a little kid. It's
Oh
crazy. I
my
get
goodness!
my how I present, often gets what's the word, challenged with my when I express my age. They're like, nah, that's not true. There's no way you're, you know approaching
Well, there's
50.
no need to expose that age right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let people keep wondering, right? Just good genes. That's all that matter.
That is all that matters. And
So
and
look,
being youthful, because you shouldn't, don't, like, that's why I do some of the things that I do. I know we're gonna hopefully get into it, but being youthful and remaining youthful is one of I believe it's one of the keys to longevity in life, and staying healthy and so on and so forth. So I think the day that somebody actually pegs my age based on how I present and how I show up in the world, and that then I'm in trouble.
absolutely. Now, being Trini, Jamaican, Canadian, um,
Hmm.
and you got good genes. You got good genes. So, are you like a vegan, a vegetarian, or you just what you see you eat? How does that work for you to keep those good genes, keep that good structure?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that question before. Like, um, and I think, like, when I was in my 20s, I just went on this journey of wanting to be healthier. That's when I started watching my weight. That's when I started watching what I eat, and it's been like a constant throughout my life, from then on, about being active and wanting to stay active and playing volleyball and beach volleyball. Like, I'm a fan of volleyball, so I did that for a while and played in the league. And then running, I did that. And so just staying active, and some martial arts and stuff like that. And then being conscious about what I'm eating. So I read packages, I read labels, eat organic when I can. And I stopped eating meat for a bit. Then I started again. Then I stopped again. So I just, um, always being very mindful and conscious of what I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body. Obviously, I fall off the wagon sometimes, but even when I do, I would go for premium, or like, products that still have, the ingredients are clean. So I'll do premium chocolates. I'm not buying like a chocolate bar from the convenience store. I'll go to a chocolatier, because I'm, thinking that it's a little bit higher quality, that the ingredients are sourced differently, and things like that. So those are the things that I do in order to try to stay healthy and be conscious of what's going in my body.
Now, those are very good habits because, if you practice them now, you won't have a problem as you reach in your late 30s and you reach it up in your 40s, right? Uh,
Yes.
so you'll be fine if you keep
That's
those habits going. I'm not trying
yeah.
to like guess your age or anything or give it away to the single
Hmm.
guys out there who are looking for a single woman. But I just thought I'll mention that good habits will continue as you get older, and they're better to follow than following the bad ones. The bad ones can actually catch up with you and make you see the doctor and so forth. So stay away from the doctor, as we are all finding out right now in this pandemic. Eating properly makes a big
Yeah.
difference.
Makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Now, the pandemic. Um, how's your family and how's everybody doing? Your friends? You guys doing okay? Is everyone well?
Yes, everybody is well. I haven't had any firsthand experiences with people very close to me um, being in the hospital or hospitalized due to the virus. I know people who have contracted it and were just pulled through. Like it was just like a flu for them. So I don't know anybody who was really sick with regards to it, but um, that's a controversial topic for me. Just everything that's happening and to vaccinated, non-vaccinated, mask, no mask, what's happening versus what's really happening, if there is a really happening thing, and all of that stuff. But to answer your question, yes, everybody I know and love is safe and is fine.
Well, that's fine. Let's not get into vaccinations and masks and all that stuff because I'm pretty sure all the single guys are very happy that you're not wearing a mask.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. I'm happy I'm not married anymore.
oh, so I'm really happy and excited that you're on the show. And before we get into your business and your talent, can I pry a bit um, more about some of the things you love doing that perhaps the viewers can relate to? For example, I love watching Family Feud, and every now and then I love to shell it down on weekends. What are some of the things that you do outside of what you are known for, which is your professional life and your talent? But we'll get into it in a second. Is there other
Hmm.
things that people should know about you?
Hmm. Well, should not. I mean, what I do is what I love, and so it's very connected. But for downtime, like I like sleeping, even though I don't get a lot of it. I do enjoy sleeping, um, and I like I like I fight sleep though. So even though I fight sleep, so that's not a good thing. I need peace brought into my world. So that's something I'm searching for, to help to help with the to be mindful about taking a break, because I actually have to force myself to do that. And then Netflix. So when I'm trying to wind down, I'll put on some watch a show. I'm watching Ozark right now, and I like finding interesting things to watch. Not nothing that doesn't have has to be stimulating. I don't like watching just mindless stuff. And then doing things like this, like just things where I can talk and engage with people and share information, receive information, and have those really in depth and valued conversations, because words are powerful, and putting that energy into the ether is done through those exchanges. And meeting with friends, having conversation, food, talking, like engaging with people, because I enjoy people. I enjoy that, and like with meaning, like meaningful, in depth connections, not just surface
I mean, those
pleasantries.
are. Those are absolutely good qualities to have because you know around us, relationships, not like personal relationships, but any type of relationship, you definitely need good communication. So having a dialogue with your coworkers, your mate, with different people, it really helps. And one of the things that I notice, especially now, everyone is at home and everyone is behind a camera or or something. um,
Hmm.
I'm noticing that dialogue is important. So being able to express yourself, it makes a hell of a difference, right? And there was a time in my life, people didn't really express themselves properly. So a lot of us got into trouble for all the old heads out there, you know what I'm saying? So so being able to express yourself is very important. You guys are doing it well.
You guys
Now,
like women?
well, yes, I'm gonna put you in the generation under me, so I'm gonna say
Oh,
you
okay.
younger women. Um,
Younger
I don't
people,
want
yeah. Okay.
exactly. I gotta admit, man. It's good. It's really good. Being able to sit back and just kind of watch it happen, you know, where people can communicate. And guys are doing
Hmm.
it now too, because I mean, guys didn't always do it properly, but now they're starting to do it a little bit better. What are your thoughts on that in terms of the dialogue, communication with amongst guys and girls?
Whew. I think, like you said, I think people are getting better at it. Obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but my experience and opinion is that women are better at communicating, especially when it comes like the emotional intellect, right? And the I think that it's something that we are not taught. Like it should be taught is part of curriculum in schools. You know how to we get it in kindergarten because it's in kindergarten it's about sharing and not getting too mad and making friends and all of those things and you think that you could do it in kindergarten and then just leave it there and that's going to stay with you for your whole life, but it doesn't. And you need to build on those skills and to see how they're going to play out in different situations in different scenarios. What do you do when somebody doesn't like you? It's different in kindergarten than it's going to be when you're in elementary school, high school, college, university. So and when people are doing things that you don't like, or how do you communicate, like it should be a constant thing that's taught, having conversations on how you're going to operate and go through different situations and scenarios. And I think that if we continue to do that type of training and coaching throughout our academic lives, we would be in better positions in our adult lives, because it doesn't stop. Communication with another individual is what
Hmm.
is how our whole life, that dictates your whole life. Just like money, the narrative, they are just intertwined. You can't get
Correct.
anything without being able to effectively communicate, and we stop teaching it. We just think people are going to figure it out, and we do, but sometimes we don't, not sometimes, most times we don't figure it out in a positive way until you have the mindset, or you're mindful enough to recognize in yourself that you need to take other steps to figure out how you navigate, or where you would go maybe for therapy, or do like a mastermind course, or go to some type of program where effective communication and reading some self-help books about communicating. So that was a
Well,
loaded
there's
question,
so
or I
many of
turned it into
those.
one.
Well, that was perfect.
Mhm.
I think it needed a really thorough explanation. So that's
Mhm.
the whole effectiveness of communication. So I mean, for example, I didn't always do it well. I probably still don't, but I'm
Mhm.
trying. So for the record, I'm trying just in case anyone is marking me. So um, I want to get right into into your stuff right now. So I was fortunate to hear that song and your song that has
Hmm.
inspired so many ladies out there and has started something like a movement. Hey sister, no, that's a theme
Hmm.
song for the Her Story movement, and it's a
Hmm.
very fitting song for the show. Now, over the last 10 years or so, I have been saying to many people that for all the daughters, the sisters, the aunties, females in general, it is your time now. Do you feel the
Hmm.
same way also?
Yo, it's always been our time. But yeah, a lot more so now that I mean, when I wrote that song, it was years ago, right? So that's why I say it's always been our time. It's always been a good time for us for women to have a voice, to recognize our space in the world, and to make sure that we hold on to our excellence and our power, because we give it away so easily. We're taught almost to give away our power from the time we're young. I even take it back to kindergarten, and being able to speak on this because of my background and working with young people in elementary, and watching how they navigate and what we tell them versus what we tell little boys with their behavior. It's so different. We're learned to be more accepting, or we're taught to be more accepting, more tolerant, more patient. It's even when people are doing foolishness. So we need to take that back and recognize when it's okay to let things go, and when it's not so okay. And so that song talks a little bit about that. And to just kind of like sit and listen, not only to what's being shared in the song, but to your inner voice and to what's happening around you. That first line, "Hey sister, sit and store what I'm about to preach on." It's sharing and listening, and
Well,
being aware of self.
I really wish I could probably play the song, but I know once we start playing music over the year, a lot of times Facebook would, cut it. So, because
Mhm.
we don't own the rights and so forth. So,
But I'm the
I'm gonna let
author.
it.
I'm the author right
eh,
here.
Well,
So I
I
guess.
guess you can argue that point with Facebook, but a lot of times it doesn't always get through. We had one artist here on the show many months ago, and I was playing his song, and we still got the cut. So I'm like, okay,
Oh
but
yeah.
it goes deeper than that because it looks like he didn't own the rights to his own, uh, to not to his song, but to I guess he's not the one who posted it, or I'm not sure how that
Right.
works. So anyways, that's a little bit deeper. That's a lot of inner money
Mhm.
for me. Uh, a lot of hidden stuff. As an artist, you
Mhm.
probably know or will find out about this kind of stuff eventually. Um, Now, you
That's a
got
whole
two.
other segment
Yeah, I'm telling you, it
talking about
really
that.
is. Now you have two music albums out there, and how do you feel about these albums, and where do you get your inspiration from?
As an artist, I don't know if this is the case for other artists, but once you create something and you put it out into the world, then you're like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. You want to do the next thing. It's like, okay, that's been done, and you put it aside, and then you're like, okay, what's next? So I want to work on new music. I have other things that I've written, other songs that I've written that I would love to put out there. I'm not working on my music as much as I have in the past. So that's something that I want to, is on my list, my to-do list.
Can I ask
I'm
you
in.
about that?
Mhm.
Can I ask you, like, why are you not working on your music? Like, because you
Mm,
have such a beautiful voice. Why do you let it stop? Like, what happened?
yeah. Man, I had been a singer performer like for a lot of my adult life, and moving from Ottawa to Toronto, there was a little bit of culture shock. So I stopped singing for a little bit,
Oh,
and
wow.
then once I started getting back into it for, um, I I just was I was in the Toronto scene, and doing all of the going to the open mics and the clubs and performing and building my following, building my own voice, and what I was, my sound. And I just got, I think, to be honest, I got kind of jaded with the industry here in Toronto and how it was when I was coming up, because how it is now, if I were to go hard now, it would be totally different. But
I
I
bet it
have like a
would.
little bit of
Yeah.
a, yeah, I have, because with social media and, being on Instagram and all, and different social media platforms. But I have a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth that I'm trying to let go. And then it's just that the love of music and performing, I I got into a place where I had to kind of make a choice of whether I was going to continue going down that path. When sometimes it wasn't, I was feeding it, but it wasn't feeding me, from a financial
Right.
standpoint,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
time and the energy. So there's a few different reasons, but now I'm at a place where I can do it, and I'm not hoping to make it my livelihood. Like, if it does become something that I can eat from, then that's great, but it wouldn't be. And I want to be able to share without no strings, just to share without any strings. But if I knew then what I know now, it would be a different story. So, and then
We
age and
hear,
stage.
yeah, we hear that for so many generations. We hear that so many years. Artists or people in general will say, if I know what I know now, back then,
Hmm.
and it goes on and on and on and on. But it's quite something when you figure it out eventually. Uh, I want to jump back. I want to jump back to that culture shock that you were talking
Hmm.
about, coming from Ottawa to
Hmm.
Toronto. What's
Yeah.
this cult? I've never been to Ottawa actually. And I've never been past Kingston.
Hmm.
Travel, go to the States, I go west, but I never passed Kingston. That's as far as it went for me. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll dive into that. The one thing that I wanted to say about the music thing before, for anybody who might be listening, is to not stop creating your music and putting it out there, because Nadia taking Hey Sister and utilizing it, no, but I would never have thought that would ever be used for something like this, and it's just because I created it and I put it out there. So doesn't matter what happens with your talent or whatever, just don't stop creating, because you never know.
That's
So
right.
that I wanted to say that, yeah. And then the other
Right.
thing with Ottawa. So growing up in Ottawa, in the 80s, it's just a totally different, was a totally different scene than when we moved to Toronto. The majority of my friends in Ottawa, if not all of them, were white. I had sleepovers and stuff like that. My best friend was a white girl, so her family, and the only and I would notice the differences, just my household versus her household. She had a lot more freedom. How she spoke to her parents, I used to floor me all the time. She would yell at her mom and yell at her dad, and I'd have to talk her down and be like, calm down, you're not supposed to talk to your parents like that. I would have got box in my face. Like, and then they would think that I was so they liked having me around, because I would talk to their daughter and be like, yo, you shouldn't be talking to your parents that way. Right. And so, but when I moved to Toronto, it was there was so much more diversity, specifically, other Caribbean, yeah, specifically Caribbean descent, right? Because I hadn't been exposed to that as much in Ottawa. And I came to, when I started going to this, it was a Catholic school. Was it Catholic? Yeah, Catholic school, because we had uniforms. And my mom just loved the
Yeah,
idea of us
definitely.
wearing uniforms, from Trinity, we had Trinity background, Form 1, Form 2, and you have
Yeah.
your uniform and press your uniform, make sure you're. And so she really liked that idea. So we ended
Yeah,
up
you
in
have to look
Catholic
nice
school.
when you walk out.
Yeah, when you walk out the house. And but when I started started going to school, it was almost like I found myself. My sister had a different experience, which is interesting because we are, both in the same school, but she, raised in the same household. It's just that testament of how you could be raised in the same household and just be totally different people. I mean, guess that's what it
That's right.
is, but it's crazy about the how that happens and the experience, because she found it to she didn't have the decision that I felt I had, which was, what do I hang out with the black kids or do I hang out with the white kids? And that I was
Was that
actually
a
posed.
decision? Is there
That was a
options? Like,
decision.
for
There
real?
was a decision. Yeah, it was a decision. I remember I was faced with a decision because I was being questioned, because I gravitated to both, because growing
I
up in
mean, why can't
Ottawa.
you just hang out with both of them? It sounds like you did.
Nah, I mean, my sister did that, but actually, no, that's not true. She gravitated more to the white side, and whereas I ended up going over to the black side. I don't know if it was like how I remember it. There was a conversation that I had with some of my peers, friends, and they were questioning why I even wanted to have conversations with other cultures, other backgrounds. And I was like, why not? It's like, what's you know? And so it was culturally, like, just seeing more people that looked like me, and the backgrounds, and opposed to how it was in Ottawa, but then also having that confrontation about how I was going to who I was going to engage with and go out with and party with and all that stuff, and then making a decision, and here I am.
quite 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 interesting, because coming from Barbados, coming here, I never even looked at that stuff. I just kind of like lived, and we got to Toronto, and a bunch of people all over the place, and fitted right in. I did notice there was a little bit of not tension, but people kind of, uh, I guess, segregate a little bit, but on the whole, never really experienced that completely, but that's really interesting because you're not the first person I heard say that from outside of Toronto.
Hmm.
So that's something that we can look into a little bit, a little bit more. Um,
Hmm.
so
I don't think that
uh,
would be the case now,
hmm.
but at that time, that era, those decades, was, yeah, different.
Now, speaking of decades, and I know you've kind of put the music on a pause, or you bringing it back. What's the situation there? Um, what type of music do you do? Because some people may not even know. Do you want to
Right.
let
It's
them know?
yeah, neo soul, so a fusion of R&B, soul, jazz, pop, rock type things, is it's a fusion of those. And I would, when I'm asked who I sound like, or not sound like, but the type of music in that genre would be like Erica Badu, Lauryn Hill, Jill
Mhm. Yeah,
Scott,
yeah.
Lettucey, Maxwell, like in that genre. And then because of my, growing up in Ottawa with Caribbean music background, performing arts, classical, like all of that stuff, it gives it a uniqueness for who I am and how I, create music. And so I would say it's on pause. It's been on pause for the last few years, but just today I was having a conversation with a producer who said, they would like to do some work with me. So I get, reminders. The universe
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
pokes at me and says, Sophia, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get back in and do that. So I don't have anything definitive, but my music is out there. It's on Spotify. It's on all, like, the streaming platforms. So definitely go listen and take it in. The album is called "It's Time We Officially Meet," and I go under SoJay or SoJay Soul.
You hear that, guys? So you is it independent? Obviously, are you independent are you go
Yeah.
on a label? Uh,
No, I'm independent indie.
so you're free. You do as you like, and you roam as you like, and you talk as you write. You see where I'm going with this? I'm trying
Yeah.
to rhyme.
You go as you like, and you're free as you like, and you talk as you like. That sounds like something we should put. Maybe we should that's poetry for I know that your better half does poetry.
Hey,
That
look,
sounds
she.
like something that could
Uh,
be put into some poetry.
we both got a little bit of talent. I have to say, she's on the upside because she's younger, so she
Mhm.
got a better upside than I do. There's still hope. Speaking of hope, we had an artist on this show some time back. She goes by the name of Lisa Michelle,
No, okay,
and
I know Lisa.
I would love if you guys were to ever collaborate. It would be
Mhm.
real cool. Uh, I also got a son that's into music as well too. So just in case you're looking for people to roll with, you can always tap into all these streams of talents that surround us.
Mhm.
There's so many people out there doing the things. I still feel like Toronto is still an untapped market. We got a few people. You got obvious like the Drakes and the Weekends and the you know and different names that pop up every now and then. And believe me, every time that there's somebody that comes through, they blow up pretty good. And for you, you have a very good voice. I was listening to some of your music earlier today on YouTube. I didn't bounce on
Mhm.
Spotify yet, but I was going through that and pretty cool. I think you should explore it a little bit more and continue, even if you're not going hard, but still
Mhm.
continue.
Thank you. Thank you. I will.
Really, really
I
cool.
need to. It's cathartic for me too. So it's almost not almost like it is like therapy, because being on a stage or being in the studio, it takes you into a different space, almost like a different space and time for me, anyways. So I do need to do it, and thank you for the words of encouragement. I
Yes.
appreciate
Well, I
it.
mean, definitely. I mean, you got a big voice and you look like such a little tiny person, but I don't mean it in a very negative way. I mean it
No,
in a
no,
very
I
positive way.
understand. They say this,
Um,
this.
but you do you have a big voice
Mm.
and just looking at you is like, is this the same person? I'm pretty sure you've gotten that reaction before. I'm not the first person probably who's said it.
Yeah, sometimes I've heard that, but we communicate so much over this medium, like through uh, online platforms.
Hmm.
So in life, I look larger than I do come across on the screen. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think you got
I'm
a
in
bit of
3D. I'm in 3D in real
I also think you got a bit of comedic added, kind of character also. So that's pretty cool. That those things go a long way, especially with the single men out there. So
life.
uh, you know,
You're like
having a sense of
I'm almost.
humor is always important.
Mm.
Oh man. Um, so I mean, if you guys are viewing for the first time or just tuning in, we're here with Sophia SoJay Jackson, and very talented person. She's also a professional within the child youth. Was that industry or how do we call it? Industry, right? Um,
Yeah, so I don't know industry, just social services. Yeah.
there we go.
Mhm.
Now I knew that you would get to it because I'm usually fiddling my way through these segments most of the
Mhm.
time. I like to just go on the fly, and sometimes things don't always sound right, and sometimes they don't always come off right. But I try to tidy it up a little bit just for the kiddies who's watching and for the the haters. But
So,
but it's all good, right? One thing I love
yeah.
to laugh, so you'll
Uh-huh.
never get me down really. So I'm always about the laughter. I'm always about the fun. So about the
Mm-hmm.
positiveness. Um, so let's bounce into your profession right now as a child and youth counselor. And
Mm.
hmm, but hang on, there was so
What?
yeah. Let me before we get into that, I have just one question that I had prepared for you. I'm gonna read it to you so you can
Okay.
listen. So
Mm-hmm.
so I truly support the movement of empowering Black women and equipping them with tools that can financially sustain the movement for generations. But are you Black ladies out there willing to wait a little while for the Black man to play catch up also? Or is it a case if you snooze, you lose, and you simply move along to the next successful person out there? Sophia, what are your thoughts on this and this perception of mine?
That so you think that black men need to play catch up?
Well, sometimes it feels like it. I mean, if you ever walk into an office and you see how much catching up we got to do, how much playing around we got to do just to make it, not to be
Mm-hmm.
seen as the underdog all the time. And the Black ladies can go in there with a nice tight skirt and get the way through really nice. I'm not saying it always happen,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times there's something that Black women got that men in general
Mm-hmm.
can't ignore. So I'm just being a little bit controversial, but you tell me your thoughts on that. Are we
There's
playing catch up, as you said?
yeah. You said they were playing catch up. I don't know if I totally agree with that, but there's so many different ways to spin an answer on that. I mean, you can go from a historical context, with Caribbean
Hmm.
and African descent, and how women were put in a position of being independent and dominant and having to be the protectors of their black boys, and we raise our daughters and we love our sons and we raise our daughters, so that can play itself out in this catch up scenario that you're talking about. But I don't think it's on to them. I mean, for me personally, I'm a strong advocate of keeping our nuclear families together. So, whatever stage, a black man is in as a partner, as a father, as a whatever the case may be, as long as they're ambitious and they're working towards doing whatever they feel that they need to do, and to take care of themselves and take care of their families, or partners or would be partners or whatever, just taking care of themselves. I'm not about, like, it doesn't have to be 6 7 figures. It just needs to be, that you're doing something that you're passionate about, that you're able to provide, that you for yourself at least, and then being able to join with somebody and you build together, right? So if you're in a mindset, and I know that this is a question that you're asking in order to spark conversation, so I'm not speaking about you, but if you are a male that's in the mindset that you have to play catch up, then that might be a limiting thought. It's just that that you're just doing what you need to do, and pushing past all the obstacles and the barriers, because they are there. We're not going to deny that they're there, but the
Right.
systems that are in place and have been in place, they've been there since the beginning of they've always been there. So it's how you're going to navigate it. How are you going to learn about what the systems are and the rules? You got to learn the rules of the game so you can know how to get past it, and or use them to your advantage, which is again one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about financial literacy. And because it's learning those tricks, learning the game, and learning the rules in order to take yourself to the next level. So I don't know if I really answered your question. Did I answer your
No, you
question?
did. You did a really good job too. You extended on it, so that's really good. I like how the way how you
Mm,
just kind of add more to it because it it gets us to understand exactly what you're thinking.
Mhm.
These are very important things to know. There's not many of us that can understand. Well, as a guy, from a guy point of view, a lot of men truly don't get or understand females completely, but we are learning, and it's through dialogue, communication, and and we get to understand each other. It doesn't always work out like to perfect perfection, but eventually we'll get there. Um, also, as a child and youth counselor,
Mhm.
now now does this get you to have a better, well, first of all, I gotta let people know that Sophia is a child and youth counselor. If For those of you who missed that earlier, um, so as a child and youth counselor, does this help get you to have a better understanding of youth in general, or do you feel as if every child is unique in his or her own way and it takes a trained professional like yourself to help and to help some of the youth out there, who are
Mhm.
facing difficulties.
Mm. I think it's both. Young people think differently, obviously, than adults, but there are a lot of similarities as well. And it's just kind of so that and then they're of course unique as well too. So yes to both of those. And when you're wanting to to be in a young person's life as a an educator or a mentor, to advocate for them or whatever the case may be, I really see young people as just younger adults, because they are learning, they're growing, and they have wants, they have needs, they have feelings, like all of the same
They sure
stuff, and
do.
they want to be heard. Yeah, exactly. They want to be heard. They want to be listened to. They want to know that they're significant, that their voice matters, that and all that stuff. And then when a lot of adults see young people as people to be, they're just spoken to and told what to do, and that they don't have a voice, and that what they want and what they need doesn't matter as much. And so when I was supporting young people in the school board, that was that's how I connected. I connected through the creative and the arts and the music and the performing and all of that stuff, because I have that background. So it was an easy way to connect. But then also being able to grab them with that, then how I maintained relationships was because I really listened to them, and they knew that if they came to talk to Miss Jackson, that they'd be heard, and it wouldn't be just punitive or blaming or pointing the finger, that they get to tell their side of the story, and it would be factored in. So I think that that's really important. And not, even though there is that difference with young people and adults, I feel that adults need the same thing.
Yeah.
We need to extend that same grace, that same understanding, same level of communication. We're just larger children with baggage that we haven't taken care of from when we were kids.
Now, how important for kids is it to be heard? I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. It gets very difficult sometimes to just like, I won't say let me. I know a daughter. She's probably listening to this right now. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna say this and say it very politely, and hopefully she's not listening. But sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to wait it out with child conversation. But I know they want to be
Mhm.
heard, and it's one of those things where, as a parent and as a an adult, we got to do it. Like we have to listen to the kids, but sometimes it's a little bit
Mhm.
difficult because their conversations go all the way around, and I guess kind of but
They
what I'm saying,
can.
like, kids are still kids.
That's true. They have deductive reasoning, though. If you just explain things to them, for the most part, they'll get it. Even if you want to explain explain how whatever it is that they might be saying or sharing is going around in circles, they'll pause and kind of think about what it is that you just shared, and be like, you know what, okay, and they might try to figure out how to be more succinct with what they're sharing, because and be more succinct with what they're sharing, because they're learning. They're This is when I was talking about that communication and how to interact and how to engage, and how we stop being taught how to do that. You take the time to have that conversation and all that stuff, then that'll they absorb, their brains are sponges. It's like they'll take it in, they'll wrap their sense around it, and then they'll utilize it in their next interaction, in their next conversation. That's the thing about kids that is way better than adults, is because they'll actually take it in, they'll listen, and they want to do better. They want to please. They want to make sure that they are seen as, as you know what I mean. I lost my
Yeah,
wording,
I
but
know exactly.
there's a want to do better and to show that they
That's
can
right.
do better.
But here's the thing, because no, no, I said that earlier. Sometimes it gets difficult to listen to the kids, the whole conversation. But I'll tell you what, and this is from my observation, and this
Mm.
is how I'm going to get myself out of
Out of
trouble.
trouble.
And this is the kids that get so much smarter after having conversations with their parents, because I can tell
Yes.
from the conversations that they're having with their little peers now how much more wiser they are. So
Yeah.
when we say communication, and we say dialogue, it starts from early, and the kids want to be heard. I think these things are very necessary. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Um, and with the dialogue, and the kids just see him as Jackson to to talk to. Um,
Hmm. I just
how
like to
Go
I
ahead.
like just to kind of tie all of this stuff in. Like, this is why I'm so passionate about people and engaging, and how I share all the things that I've done. We've had this conversation. We're conversating and communicating. We're talking about all the things that I've done. Music, and being a youth worker, and I don't know if we'll even have time for the financial professional, coloring book author. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying all
we'll
these
get there.
things to I'm not saying all these things to big up myself, but the reason why they're all connected is because it's talking about how you show up in the world, how you communicate to others, and what your feelings and your emotions are around those types of things, and how do you manage them, and be mindful, and be aware of how you connect with your children, with your finances, with yourself. And do you do it through music? Do you do it through a mindfulness practice like coloring? Do you do it through taking care of your finance, and recognizing that taking care of your finance is a self-care practice? Like, so that's why I'm like I feel like I'm the connector,
Hmm.
the for all the intersections. I'm the middle of the intersections of all these things. It brings it all together, and that's why it makes sense for me to share about all of those things in the same space at the same time.
So you're like you're like the traffic light. Then you kind of like go, stop,
Hmm.
amber,
Hmm.
so forth. It's really interesting because we've had quite a few people on the same wavelength on the show. We've had two guys. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but these guys wrote a whole book about
I did.
financial literacy.
Yeah.
It's really, really awesome.
Hmm. Don't
And
be a waste
sometimes
youth.
that's right. Don't be a waste. You guide to financial literacy. Big up,
Mhm.
big up, my guys, man.
Yeah, I shared that with a few people because I loved the way that they were connecting with that demographic, millennials,
Mhm.
and it's really needed. So yeah, I'm sorry
Yeah,
I cut you off.
no, that's okay. To be honest, you can do it all night long, because tell you the truth, I do it to people all the time, and a lot of times I get into trouble. Sometimes I get a steer. It's funny because you know Sometimes I got to work with. eh, I will not give it away, but sometimes I'm dealing with people and they just give me the stare, like
Hmm.
they don't say a word and again, and that's how I know. I'm cutting off people again. But this is how I communicate, anyways. I do it like this, and I'm fine if you cut me off. I'll cut you off too. But it's fine. This is how we do it. But the point is to listen, right?
Yes.
So, um, so let's jump right back into your profession, uh, and what are some of the issues having an impact on youth these days? For example, there have been many generations who work really hard to secure and ensure a better life for their children, but yet the kids are still finding it very difficult these days, as I'm hearing. Uh, what's causing this, Sophia?
What's causing them to have difficulties?
Hmm.
Social media. I would say social media. Um, uh, and then there are young people who are thriving, as well. So I don't know. That's a loaded question, and I know when the uh, the the navigating friendships and relationships, I know, and then doing that in real time or in reality is so different than being online and through social media and so on. So that's a disconnect, or living in both those worlds simultaneously. I just realized that when we were kids, that if you were having a bad time at school, or people weren't nice to you, or you know
Hmm.
you left it at school. Whereas with social media and all of the ways that you connect with people, now it's like it follows you everywhere you go. So that is something that I don't envy the young people today, that they cannot disconnect, and then they're so encouraged to stay connected,
Yep.
that even if they wanted to disconnect, they don't feel that they could, because then there's that FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. and, and so I don't know. I mean, I'm speculating and building my thought process around your question in real time, because I haven't really thought about it in the way that you posed the question before. But that's the first thing that comes to mind, is that I mean, social media is challenging for adults. Never mind young people who are formulating who they are, what they bring to the table, what friendship is like, what is a good friend, what is a true friend, what is reality. Is it reality? You think about it, these guys they didn't even have a life
It's so true.
without being online. They don't even know what that's like. And so you see something on screen, you see something on an Instagram feed or a Facebook feed or a TikTok feed or Twitter feed, and you could think that that's real.
And that's why it's so difficult for like the even older parents to understand, because they're like, I work so hard. I go out there and I do 12 hours, I do 8 hours, and I put a roof over your head, I give you food, I give you education, I give you all this stuff, and you went on this stuff. What is Google's, by the way? And parents, they they don't quite understand that world. I mean, now there's a lot of grandparents and so forth who are now getting into social media and stuff like that,
Hmm.
thanks to Facebook, and and they're equipping themselves also with some most valuable online education. So, I mean, the kids are fully, engulfed in this social media thing, and it's got their attention. There's no way out of it for them.
Hmm.
It's a tough game to play. I mean, for the entire life, because I didn't always have social media, and I wasn't always connected to a computer. It's
Hmm.
something that I had to learn. So I mean, these kids born right into it. So
Yeah.
it's their life.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if it's is that a thing? Is it a good thing. It's, I mean, us, our generation and prior to, because I remember what it was like to not have a computer, to actually memorize my friends' phone numbers and call them, and the phone was connected to the wall and you couldn't move it around, like, yeah, I remember that. But is it just
Thanks for
progression?
bringing back all those memories. Yeah, there was a
my
time I
favorite
had to
my
like
favorite
sit
one
there
is
and wait for
when,
the phone to ring.
right, you would, yeah, because you have to wait, and actually wait for somebody to call you. Or my favorite was when, I was on the phone talking to somebody, maybe past my phone curfew, because you couldn't be
That's
on the
right.
phone, and my mom would pick up the phone and she'd be like, Sophie, get off the phone. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
mom, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
So,
Once you hear that voice on the other line, you know it's a
mhm,
parent.
and you feel silly because the person's, you're being reprimanded. But, like, what you think, is it okay that they haven't experienced that? Is it just the natural progression of, we're just moving into a time in our, lifespan, in history of existence, that eventually that's not even, it's going to be ancient history, like it's going to be, stuff that they talk about in museums or something like that. It's going to be great. That's going to be crazy. And are they better? I mean, I know there's pros and there's cons, but I just think that, having had that experience, that maybe they're missing out, but then that maybe that's just my perspective because I've had that experience. If I've never had the experience, I would not know any better. So it might not even be a thing. So it's hard to say, but that's what I would say with the challenges. I think the social emotional, regardless, the social emotional, the human interaction, and we need that. We know that we need that as human beings. Doesn't matter where we are in the trajectory of, our lifespan, whether, or into the future. Even futuristic movies talk about human interaction. So the fact that it's limited, like you're not engaged with the people that your age, not like physically, that it's always online, and that you can alter who you are, say what you want, you can type it, then erase it, then type it, then erase it. It's not always organic and just in real time. So I think that definitely can play a factor into, how our kids are being nurtured and, growing, and their personalities and self identity and self love and all of that stuff. It's all being impacted.
Yeah, well, you know what? I ain't gonna lie because I've seen like teenage kids. They're on their phones and like they're having an argument or they're deeply into some kind of conversation, and they would be like focused in on the phone, and then they would start to do to text really fast and really hard, and I'm wondering, why don't you just click it off and take a break and go back again at another time? But that's how much, they're so caught up in the social media and also the instant messaging and stuff like that. And it can really play a big factor in their life.
Hmm.
I can tell the emotions, it got them rattled and they're not settled. A lot of
Hmm.
times they don't think properly. Everything is going so fast, so quickly, like they don't slow down. I just wonder if that's actually all good for human beings, because I know people take breaks. They go to the Caribbean, they go to Mediterranean, they go all types of places just to slow down a little bit. And I don't know. I not sure. But I'm from the Caribbean, so people say, "Oh, that's the island guy." So that's why he wants to go slower. He doesn't want to go fast. So I'm not sure. You're the expert. Maybe you can tell me what's happening and if they should slow down indeed.
Yeah, I think they should. I think they should. I need. I mean, I need to slow down as well. I think, yeah, that would be my opinion.
Oh yeah, I
They
forgot about your
something.
habit, your working habit.
Yeah.
It's all good because hard work and continuous work will pay off in the future. If in the future
Mhm.
you'll slow down, in the future you'll say, okay, well I've paid my dues, and hopefully it benefits all those who put in the effort. Things are not completely given to us um, just like that.
Mhm.
Even though we may want to think that some things are given to us. So amongst the community, Sophia, no one. I'm going to go a little bit dark here, just to tap into your expertise. And no
Mhm.
one talks about the suicides and the unsolved murders that happen.
Oh,
And to me, some of these issues are shoved under the carpet. Um, what would you say to that as a youth counselor?
are we talking about like during this time, during the pandemic, or just in general?
Um, in the last, I would say the last maybe 7 years or so, it's been a little bit of shift in momentum. It might have something to do with the social media, or it may, and during the pandemic, little things are being a little bit blurred. But before the pandemic, things were, to me at least, in my observation, uh, had been getting a little bit out of whack. You know what I'm saying? So, uh,
Mhm.
do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, in my experience, I've worked in youth like group homes, and as well as the detention centers, like for our young offenders, some of our youth offenders, and um, the what I talked about with regards to social media definitely plays in, but just the um, the hopelessness that sometimes our young people feel with they just don't, because their worlds are so um it's like for them it's infinite. For them it's just like this is never gonna change, this is how it's gonna always be. They don't see or think into future, into growing up, into adulthood. It's just about in the moment, and in that moment it's infinite. So it's like, and this is why when you're communicating with young people and they're sharing their feelings and their emotions, that it should not be taken lightly, because for them it's absolutely serious, and and can be life or death, right? Even though from an adult standpoint we're just like, oh, don't worry about it, when you get older it'll be better, you will. But they don't see past their lives as it is right now as a young person. And that's why we always connect back to our youth, even as adults. We connect back to our youth when we're telling our stories. You talk about our college years, our elementary years, because those are the formative years of your life that we don't recognize how much of a major impact it is on the development of ourselves and our mindset and our psyche. So because we make reference, and as we get older, even our elders, they once they get to their older stage, where in their aging process, they are still talking about stuff that happened in their youth. My mom's in her 73, and she's talking
Oh
about things
wow,
that happened in her youth, almost like it was now, in present tense, and so on and so forth. So the and on so the reason why I said all that is just like our young people's lives, they are just so intense, and they feel things so intensely. And if things are not going right, and it just happens, and things are not going right consecutively for a long enough period of time, and that's relative to the individual, they could just decide that they don't want to go on, and then they take their lives. I was in a situation at a group home once where this young person, she just she would attempt to take her own life, um, almost monthly, sometimes a couple times a month. She just did not want to exist anymore,
it's
and
really sad.
it's very sad, because you're like, you have so much life ahead of you, and we know that it doesn't end, nothing is nothing
Right.
is definite and nothing's going to stay the same. The only way that it won't change is if you don't continue, don't continue living, or if you don't make the effort to change it. Even if you don't make an effort to change it, and you are alive and breathing, it's going to change. Change is just it's just programmed into the system. It has to happen. So
Yep.
for a young person to not be able to see outside of that and want to take their own life, it's really, so that's why the communication, the being able, and then the signs too, making sure that you're aware of the signs, for when a young person is asking for help, because a lot of the time the acting out, or the comments, that some of the things that they might say
Yep.
are them like asking for help. If somebody's talking about suicidal ideations, it's their cry for help, because it's when somebody decides that they're actually going to do it, they don't really share about what it
That's right.
is. It's when there's time to help them. That's when, and they'll be more vocal about it. And yeah, that's a big question.
Well,
I
I
Yeah.
wonder if social media, online stuff, has kind of gotten the kids a little bit more, um, like, it doesn't affect them so much of talking about death and stuff like that, because they see it so much on the videos going around.
Mhm.
It's, after a while you become desensitized to
Desensitized,
it,
yeah.
right? And I just wonder if that plays a major role into the psyche and how they perceive things, right? um, it really is a sad thing. It really is one of those things where we wish we won't have to see or hear about,
Hmm.
but it happens, and I think as adults, as parents, we got to be prepared for it. I wish people would talk a little bit. I'm sure there are groups. I'm sure there's groups that talk about this stuff. I'm sure there's organizations that do a lot of work that I'm unaware of. But since we're talking about it, I really I really wish that these things didn't happen. To make a long story short, but they do,
Yeah.
they happen quite often. I'll tell you something. Within over the past 6 years, I have been to three suicide funerals, which has
Oh, wow.
directly impacted friends of mine, and one murder, which is still unsolved. And as a community, it's a time to start really getting to understand these kids better and figure out
Hmm.
some other strategies when dealing with the kids. I think this is why guys like yourself are in place, really to be kind of like just be there to like a sponge, and also to help these kids as well. You guys do a tremendous amount of work out there, and some parents don't even know what you guys are doing in the background. And
Hmm.
you guys are, sometimes these kids can't wait to see yourself, right? And talk and express, and just share some stuff. You know, I can go on and on and on, but only you would know more of these stories than I do. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that some are very uh, tough to deal with.
Yeah, what I would say about that, because of the time that I've spent in the school board, prior to the pandemic, but I would share with any parents or guardians, or whatever the case may be, is to just make sure that you recognize that whatever it is that teachers or principals or the superintendents, whatever it is that they tell you, you are the final say. You are the final word. Your thoughts as a parent, as a guardian, your thoughts, your wants, your needs for your child are are first and foremost, are paramount. So advocate, like, don't be afraid to have those conversations. That's something that I've recognized in especially in the Caribbean, like the Caribbean community, is the when we're going in to talk to the principal, we're going in to talk to to the teachers about our children, we're just listening to what they have to say, and not really that we don't interject and say, okay, well, this doesn't sound right, or I don't agree with what it is that you're saying. That they have this authority, and they they do, to an extent. The authority that they have is in order to be that they're the transfer of the well-being of your child is it's transferred to them while they're in the school, while they're, in their care. But you as the parent, you can challenge whatever it is that they say. You don't have to take everything as gospel. And I find that and in my experience, that happened a lot. So I would just make sure that you advocate for your children, and don't just take everything as being that has to be, their records. There's things that, oh my gosh, this isn't it. We got to have, I feel like we need to have a conversation
Yes,
about
it's a broader,
every, it's so broad. But some of
it's a broader
most of the
conversation.
stories, yeah, most of the stories that I've even been a part of or have heard, is because a parent or a guardian didn't know that they didn't know their rights, and they didn't know that they could say no,
Wow.
or they didn't know that they could challenge what it is that they were being told by the school, the principal, the teacher, or whatever the case may be. So.
Well, I think there's a lot of things going on when it comes to that. And for one, for example, the Caribbean. So a lot of times, it goes by like authority. So a lot of times, people listen, and if you're in a authoritative position, you'll get the respect. So the parents are just going to listen and kind of take your word. Not always. I mean, times
Mhm.
are changing, but it happened a lot. And if you're, say, for instance, you're a doctor and you tell a Caribbean person, as a doctor, you give them some advice, they're going, the doctor say this, doctor say that,
Mhm.
and they're literally
Mhm.
taking your word. So, that's how those things are. And you're right. People do have the power to pick and choose and to say no, or
Mhm.
say yes. But the point is, and speaking of that, I was just talking to one of my friends. When was it? Just yesterday, and he was telling me about a situation with him being in the hospital, and a doctor who was ready and willing to operate on him, and it wasn't necessary. And to follow that up,
Oh.
the doctor wanted to was calling his house, trying to book a next appointment with him, and he was like, I don't think so. You're not seeing me no more. You're ready. You're too quick to operate on me. That's not going to happen, right? So yes, you do have the power to say yes, and you do have the power to say no.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
that's right. um, Sophia, should I say Sophia or Sophia? How do you? Because I got in trouble one time. I was calling a Sophia, and it was not flying with Sophia. So it depends on where you at, right?
I'm okay that either or, Sophia, just not Sophie.
Right, right, right. So remember that, single guys. If you start talking to Sophia, remember it's always Sophia or Sophia. It's never the short.
So, yeah.
um, did we cover everything here tonight? I just want to big up your music again, because that's one of the
Mhm.
main interests that really clued me into you, and I'm really happy that you came on the show. Um, but
Mhm.
your voice is really really fabulous, and I really wish you could, maybe perhaps you guys. I'll tell you something before I start rambling off, because you guys have a lot of talent. I wish I had talent like you guys. You guys who can sing, guys who can hold a vocal. You guys are great.
Mm.
Why are you not utilizing your tools of talent and letting the whole world know who you are? It's beautiful. It's very soulful. Today I was listening to your stuff there on YouTube, and I was like, wait a minute, and it really sounded good. So I know it may not like sometimes it feels like there's not a lot of progress, but eventually people recognize good stuff, and now especially in this social media world, online world, everything is exposed. Uh, I think even working with the right people may also be the key also for development and also for progress. So I
Hmm.
really want to big you up on that. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we did the music and being mindful and the songwriting, which ties into my like lyrical like writing, and which ties into the coloring book, which we kind of touched on, and youth work, which ties into working with adults and their finances, which we kind of touched on. So I think we did hit almost everything. And
But can we talk about the coloring book thing? Like, tell us
mhm.
more about that.
Oh, soulful color. You can see the Instagram link there is an affirmation coloring book. Well, it's a brand, the Soulful Color brand. It's more morphed into a brand, and so I have the Soulful Color affirmation coloring book for your inner child is the first book, and I'm currently like just days away from completing the second book, which is called Soulful
Oh, wow,
Color.
nice,
My
nice.
Mindset Money Matters, which is focusing because of my area where my area of expertise with regards to finance and mental health, because my mental health background and having being a licensed professional, I just really highlight that connection between our mindset and our mental awareness and wellness around money. And so the second coloring book is focused on that. That's the first one, the first one that we published in 2017, and then so the second one's coming. So it's like a passion project for me. Creating these coloring books, they are childlike in nature, so they are suitable for young people. But I colored them with myself and my age demographic in mind, because coloring can be very therapeutic, a stress relief,
Yeah.
calm stress, calm anxiety. It's like art therapy. So and coloring is it connects you to a younger time, so when it was a simpler time. And we do that naturally, as I mentioned before, connect back to our youth. So being able to use a tool, a resource to help make those connections can really take you into an escape from whatever is happening in your world, to help relieve any stress and anxiety. So that's kind of like a high level of the reasoning behind the books, but it's a really fun way to kind of tackle um, some important topics as well, with regards to the imagery in the book, with representation, inclusion, equity, diversity, stuff like that, because the images are of people of color doing amazing thing, remove biases and stuff like that. So I am really focusing the coloring book towards educators and social workers, therapists, that they would have them and utilize them as a resource in the school, in the classroom, with their patients, with their clients, their clients, and in that arena, because they're the ones who can deliver this book or the resource to the masses in a way. And I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I feel like I might have gone off on a little bit of a tangent, but just to bring it
Yeah,
all
it does.
together. Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you. Yeah, to bring that all together is like these books are like a passion of mine, and they're multifaceted and can do so many things for so many different people. And so I'm really excited about bringing them to the world and highlighting the benefits of what something so simplistic that can do so much.
No, that's just wonderful. It's wonderful that you're doing that. This last year, obviously we a pandemic ran up on us, and then all kind of smack started happening. The world went nuts for a little bit. Um, Lots of stuff happened across the border. Um, and all over the world, actually, it kind of like triggered, right? Everything kind of um, snowballed in effect. And I'm just wondering, your peers, people you work with, um, did this pandemic and the activities across the border, with, for example, the George Floyd situation. Now, did this kind of impact you guys in your profession a lot more? Did you guys see high numbers of people needing you guys more? How did that work for you guys and continue to work for you guys right now?
When you say you guys, you're talking about from a therapist, or is that what
That's
you
right,
mean?
therapist.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, because I when the pandemic hit, I was in the school board, um, and so I was really working with young people from a school wide standpoint. So I actually got pulled out of my role when the pandemic hit, by schools shutting down and everything going online. I so and then also the impact that it had on me personally, during everything that was happening. I can't say that we, being in the school system, got hit more than anybody else. I think, every situation and um, everybody was impacted in their own way and differently. So, as we know, I mean, that goes without saying almost. Um, so for I can just talk about it from the standpoint of, I felt just so disconnected. I couldn't be there the way that I was for the young people that I was supporting, or the teachers, or the parents, because I would engage with parents as well. Um, and how that translated to online, it just didn't work. It didn't work really. And so, um, for me personally, I ended up disconnecting once the school year ended. Like, I didn't even, because I was like, how am I supposed to do my role virtually? It didn't make sense, because a lot of the things that I was doing were supporting in the halls and during recess, and like, and those things weren't even happening anymore. So
Right.
it was a weird thing to transition out of. And then the technology, being able to support some of the kids and their families, to to have accessibility to devices so that they could participate online, because of different socioeconomic, not having a laptop or a computer in some households. And if you had kids who are in different ages, their siblings, different grades, different ages in the same household, they ideally would all need their own device. So I spent the first part of the pandemic, collecting, getting, distributing devices that the board put together, to able to make education accessible for when these children had to be at home for learning and school, virtual learning. So it was, even me talking about it now, I'm getting a little bit, that it's a lot of stuff that people can't even, you don't even think would be an issue, that became an issue, and how to navigate it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I find that fascinating. I think the pandemic has exposed a lot of things amongst us. I think, someone told me within like every, every 20, every 30 years or something, There are always changes that happen within our society, which shape the next future. This probably is the turning point, right? This probably is a time where people stop doing the things that they used to do, and do something different. Now, don't I won't be alarmed and say, well, the sky is falling and so forth, because there was a time when we all relied on donkey carts, and now we're zooming by on in cars and stuff like that, right? So I wouldn't say, look, it's all topsy turvy, and we don't like the way the direction is going. Who knows, maybe some of the changes will be for the better, right? So I think it's just a time where we have to assess where we at, and try to move forward positively. Look at ourselves deeply and see if this is where we're heading, and that's where you want to go, right? So uh, it's an interesting time, very fascinating time, uh, and at least like for you, you're making some positive moves, and you'll be set up properly.
Yeah, I think the sharing stories. So like everything that all the questions that you've asked is a different takes us on a different journey and a different narrative. Some of the things I've shared with you during this time are things I haven't talked about with anybody really, because you asked some really pointed questions about, and then how I intersect with all of these areas, and some of the things that I've observed and have been a part of with regards to being with the school board, and how I interact with the coloring book and all of those things. It's just sharing your stories and the narrative that exists in your world that is very important. And I appreciate you taking the time to ask some of those questions. These are well thought out questions. So I appreciate that. Um, because it's even making me think. You don't realize, I didn't realize all of the things that I've been exposed to and have been a part of, until you like ask the question, and they happen they play out in the back of your brain, just like on a subconscious level,
That's right.
and help drive and formulate your decisions. And then you kind of just you react, and then you move on, and you don't really take stock of what it was that drives your decision. So yeah, I'm in contemplative mode. I'm sure you can tell based on how I'm
Well,
talking. But yeah, thank you for
well,
the
look,
questions.
it's good because you know what? I think we all been there, one way or the other. And like for example, like there's a lot of people who would have thought that they were set up properly for the future, with having maybe the way they were schooled, and they were taught, and getting them probably a decent job, and lo and behold, something happened at work, and then you crumble, and then you find yourself looking, you realize, hey, I don't feel the love like I used to get the love when I was 21. I'm a little bit older now, so the love is not there anymore, and most people really have to reinvent themselves, and sometimes that's challenging. Sometimes some people walk by and it's very easy,
Hmm.
but these are the times, and it's good. It's good to be challenged. It's really good to be challenged. It actually can push the best out of you. You
Hmm.
know, and for a person like yourself, I mean, geez, you've got so much to rely on. You got a lot of talent that within you. So that's important. It's the people that don't have any at all. They're the ones who try really hard. Because I find like talented people don't try hard enough. I'll be honest with you. Because they know they can just do
I
it.
don't know about that. I don't know about. I think it's. I'm taking that personally. I think it's relative. I think it's relative. I think that as somebody who is a creative, and I think that people look on the outside looking in, it looks easy and it looks effortless, but within, it's a constant, this is why I don't sleep. It's a constant turning, it's a constant, something's happening, something's percolating, and it's hard to put yourself at rest and to just chill. Like the idea of leaving the office, going home and just chilling, that gives me anxiety. It's like, because there's so much to do. And but I can understand why it might be perceived as being effortless. And even for myself, I know, and I was I think I shared this with Nadia, is that because I know I can perform on a certain level, I leave things to the last minute, and then I just, like, I do it.
I see that in action all the time. Not to worry. Not to worry. And speaking of action and speaking of talent and so forth, I think
Mhm.
we got your big song queued up,
Oh yeah.
and we're gonna play and let people hear it,
Hmm.
and it's really cool. Okay, that was really cool. What was
Yes,
your
that song.
inspiration for that one?
Oh, that's like relationships. Honestly, I know you asked that question before. And I don't think I answered it, but my inspiration for all of my songs is just life, and my own my own trials and tribulations with different types of relationships and friendships and engaging with people. But that song specifically is that opening line, actually,
Hmm.
hate when you'd say that this ain't no movie. It was somebody I was dating who actually said that to me. He's like, this isn't a movie, Sophia. And I was just like, okay, sounds like a opening line for a song. So,
Now, what sparked him to say that?
oh, because I'm idealistic. This is what I've been told. Because I see the positive. I see the positive in most things. I look for the positive. I focus on the positive instead of the negative. I see the best in people. And that saying, prepare for the worst, to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I'm like,
Yep.
why are you preparing for the worst? If you're focusing on the what bad can happen, then law of attraction, that's what will happen. So you hope for the best and prepare for the best. Like, why are you so?
It's a
And
hard
then
thing to
people are
break,
like, that's not realistic. That's not realistic. And this isn't a movie. This is like real life. And
Once
I'm like, okay.
once you get in that mindset, it's a really hard thing to break. I'll be honest with you, and thanks to my beautiful wife, and just kind of to remind me of those attractions, right? So it takes a while for some people. Actually, it also takes a while just to break the company too, because you can get in the company of people who produce negative energy, and that
Yep.
also kind of holds you in a very negative space, right? So I'll remind people to always think on the positive side, and it's beautiful when you do. Actually, you can't
Absolutely.
help but smile. You can't help but think of positiveness.
Hmm.
It's uh, it's really a good space to be in. Okay, so I think the show is coming to an end. Sophia, is there anything else you want to add to the show? Is there anything else you want to, you know, let the people know and get it out there before we say ta ta, bye bye, ciao ciao?
No, just, well, yes, I shouldn't say no, there isn't anything for me to say and then actually say stuff. So yes, what I wanted to share was to definitely um, continue to show up for these sessions with Dman, because like I said, some of the questions that I've been asked have really been contemplative and opened up areas that I wouldn't have thought of. And so definitely come back for that. And then also check out her story. do that as well, because I'm so involved and engaged in that area as well. And then follow me on Instagram at SoJay Soul, and also at Soulful Color as well, and engage and check out the content and share. There's so much that I have to offer. And if you need, there's anything that you need questions answered in the areas of mental health and wellness, finance, and the finance is very broad. So you won't know what I know until you ask me. So, I'm putting that out there. And that's all I have to share. And stay tuned for the second coloring book, Soulful Color, is going to be out soon. So watch out for that.
So I want to thank you for being on the show. It was a pleasure. As we said earlier, we went on for like 2 hours or something, but
Yeah, I
it
can't
didn't feel
believe it.
that long because
No.
the conversation, the dialogue had been so good. So,
Mhm.
um, for me, it was a pleasure. I look forward to these Wednesdays. By the way, we got it's one more week. We're gonna do this. We're gonna bring a gentleman he's an entrepreneur next week. We're gonna do this one more week. Then I'm gonna take a break, do some summer stuff. Come back probably in the fall, in the cold season, and hopefully this pandemic is over, and my beard will be gone because the pandemic sparked the beard with the mask. So hopefully we can do this. So once again, thank you, Sophia, and it was very
Thank
nice
you.
chatting with you.
You too.
All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The wonderful and talented and the amazing Sophia Jackson, Sophia SoJay Jackson. She's not only talented, she's also single, and she's also bright, and she's a profession in child youth counseling. So you can always hit her up, check her out on all her social media handles. Don't be a stranger to like her. Click the like button and all the hearts and all that stuff, and get it popping. Um, you know, she's a good communicator, and that's what we all need. So again, thank you all for joining in the show, and hopefully we see you guys next week. So until then, peace.